This program is brought to you by Real Estimate. Get a free real estimate of your home's value today on the realestate.com.au app.
Great to have your company here on Business Now. Well, the election, you might imagine, would have affected the housing markets and also the number of auctions held over the weekend, but not so. There were 1,518 auctions across the country. That's pretty solid. The national clearance rate was 58.8%. Let's go to Sydney. 511 auctions here, but you can see here the clearance rate's still lower. 54% of them were sold. Melbourne does continue to recover, 572 auctions. The clearance rate stronger, 69%. In Brisbane, 66 auctions, again pretty slow, under 44% of them were sold. Adelaide's coming off the boil a little also. There were 53 auctions, 62.3% were cleared. And in Canberra, 41 auctions and a clearance rate there of just under 66%. So let's bring in here Anne Flaherty, economist with REA Group. And thanks for your time. I just want to go to the question now whether Labor's pre-election promises are going to potentially alter and quickly the demand for homes, new homes and existing homes.
Look, I do think we're definitely going to see an uptick in demand, particularly from first home buyers. Labor, of course, is giving all first home buyers the possibility of getting into the market with a 5% deposit. As I said, this is very likely to increase demand. And I think with several interest rate cuts on the way this year, we're going to see a pretty big year for the property market.
OK, so just take me to the other side of the equation, because we know the government has a commitment to build 1.2 million homes by the end of the decade. It's way behind in that right now, that target. But the question is whether developers, with the interest rate cuts, with this new demand, are going to see a profit motive to be able to go out and start building more homes more quickly.
That's definitely the hope. One of the main factors that has been driving that slowdown in development activity is that they haven't been selling at the price point needed for developers to make a profit in many cases, particularly at the more affordable end of the market. I think, though, that it is still going to take a bit of time, particularly in markets like Melbourne, where we are starting to see signs of a turnaround, but a lot of times the actual median price points of things like new apartments, it's very, very difficult for these projects to get off the ground. But increased demand, lower interest rates, this really could be the conditions that we need to start seeing an improvement in development activity. In markets where we have seen better performance over the past 12 months, such as Perth and Adelaide and Brisbane, we've actually seen a bit of an uptick in signs that we're seeing more dwelling approvals, more construction starts. But those are markets where we've seen a much stronger comeback in property prices. So until we really see evidence of that here in Melbourne, we're probably not going to see that much. Similarly for Sydney, prices have been pretty stable over the past year, but if we start to see those home price growth rates rise, that's going to be a strong signal to developers that market conditions are improving.
Because that's the reality even of the Labor Party's own sort of policy going into the election, was to try and stimulate the demand. But what you're going to have previously is if you've got demand rising but you don't have a supply side response, you've got home prices rising. But it really is the home prices rising that create the supply response. The developers, the home builders, the renovators all start to get stuck in if they think they can make a turn on a property and come out with a profit.
And that's one of the difficult things about the market at the moment, because, of course, the reason we did see such rapid price growth was to do with supply not meeting demand. But now what we're starting to see is with demand picking up, that should hopefully, well, you say hopefully, if it pushes the prices to a higher level, then it can kickstart more development activity. But of course, as I said, you need them to get to that higher price point for that to happen. So, even though we are hopefully going to see supply improve, if we see conditions improve, the flip side of that, of course, is that home prices are higher. So even with these offers like the 5% deposit, it's still a very challenging environment for first home buyers. And we know that a lot of the development activity happening is at the higher price point anyway.
I'll tell you what, Anne Flaherty, always good to have you in the program, and many thanks for your time today.
Thank you.